We're back for our daily NBA best bets here on Saturday, December 6th. Yesterday, a positive day. Shout out to the money line picks, man. Philadelphia 76ers make it look easy in Milwaukee against those horrible Milwaukee Bucks. And the Memphis Grizzlies, well, I've been talking about that game for a while. We've been talking about it for like a week now. The Grizzlies-Clippers rematch. What happens? Competitive one. Grizz come out on top. I've been saying, man, I really like that Grizzlies team right now. They're playing good basketball. Cedric Howard's playing well. Cam Spencer's playing well. I don't know, man. I don't think Ja's going to really bring them up, but I really like what the Grizzlies got going on. Anyways, we win those yesterday. Shout out to Cooper Fly going over. Did not have a great day with the other two bets. Obviously, Lakers weren't competitive, and Josh Giddey didn't do anything against Indiana. It's okay. We're going to be back today again for more daily NBA best bets. Folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA best bets here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our college basketball best bets, so go make sure to check that out. That'll be linked in the description down below. And today, obviously being a Saturday, college football, 5 big conference championship games. Those predictions will be linked in the description down below. Best bets also on the channel, along with our NFL predictions, which were posted earlier in the week. Best bets today at noon and 5 p.m. Pacific for the best player props and the best money line and spread bets. Okay, and also on Greedo Plays MMA, how can I forget? UFC 323 predictions and best bets from Rob Dvalishvili and Piotr Jan, the rematch for the Bantamweight Championship tonight in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today for the NBA as we kick things off at the Barclays Center. Yes, we are taking the Brooklyn Nets to win a basketball game. It's the only somewhat reasonable money line pick today in the NBA. Obviously, we're gonna have spreads for the rest of the the team picks that we're gonna have. But yes, we're taking Nets money line early to beat the New Orleans Pelicans. Guys, the Pelicans have won a grand total of 3 games this season, and only 1 win has been on the road against the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, the Mavericks have kind of turned over a new leaf. Obviously, losing last night in the late night spot, or I guess the night spot, to the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that's just what OKC does to everyone. Regardless, that's New Orleans' only victory on the road. That was in November. Oddly enough, on a second night of a back-to-back, were even crazier. They won on the first night of the back-to-back at home against Charlotte, and they went to Dallas and won. Interesting. Yeah, they were 2-6 at the time. They are now 3-20, with their only other victory being the Chicago Bulls. And obviously, the Bulls are back to being a bottom feeder. Yikes. But hey, someone's got to make the play in between Chicago, Milwaukee, and Charlotte. So somebody's not going to get a lottery pick, or someone's going to get a bad lottery pick, likely. We shall see who it is. Actually, guys, if the Brooklyn Nets win today, they're only going to be 3 games back of the play-in. I just want to put that out there, okay? And the Nets are 5-17. We do believe they're going to win because they have won 2 of 3 coming into this one, right? Beating Charlotte at home, then beating the Chicago Bulls on the road at the United Center, which the Pacers just did yesterday. And then Brooklyn's coming off their L on the second night of that back-to-back, returning home to Brooklyn to take on the Utah Jazz and losing that one. It was a game, though, that Brooklyn looked really solid through 3 quarters, right? They were playing good basketball against the Jazz. They were outplaying them early. They went into the 4th quarter with a 9-point lead. And what happened? Well, Brooklyn playing on the second night of the back-to-back and playing at Utah's pace eventually caught up to them as the Jazz put on 42 points on the Brooklyn Nets in the 4th quarter, outscoring them by 22, ultimately concluding in a 13-point Jazz victory. So Brooklyn, again, looked good through 3 quarters, but that's just what's going to happen to you on the second night of the back-to-back. Those legs are going to catch up to you, and a team that plays the pace in which Utah does eventually is going to come back and bite you in the ass, and that's why, again, we had Jazz spread on Thursday night. But now we're looking at Brooklyn here to pick up a victory after a day off and after the momentum they have built with victories over Charlotte and Chicago. I do believe they're going to get one here against the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, again, it was a rare, somewhat, low-scoring night for Brooklyn, and what I mean by that is usually in their L's, they are scoring some points. I guess it's dependent on the night. I guess 110 is actually a pretty average score for them. Regardless, it was a low 4th quarter scoring-wise, I will say. They scored, 20 points in the 4th quarter. That's probably a better point in all of that. Michael Porter Jr. didn't play, and that's probably the most meaningful part of that game. No MPJ in that spot against Utah, as, of course, Michael Porter Jr. is the leading scorer of Brooklyn. We thought he was going to play. He ended up not giving it a go against Utah, but he is not on the injury report now. It seems very much like Michael Porter Jr. will be playing tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans, and that's huge to get back, right? In his absence, Noah Clowney led all scoring for Brooklyn, scoring 29 points in 34 minutes. There are only 2 starters, though, for Brooklyn against Utah that went over 10 points. That was Noah Clowney with 29 and Nick Claxton with 12. 3 points at a Terrence Mann, but that's what he's done his entire career. Tyrese Martin scored 0 in 22 minutes. Straight cardio game. Did have 7 boards. Did have 7 boards. And then Igor Demon, the rookie, scored 3 points in 20 minutes. They got a big night off the bench out of both Danny Wolf, the rookie, and Zaire Williams, who scored 23 and 17 respectively. Again, Wolf with 17 and Williams with 23. With Michael Porter Jr. back, though, they should be fine here. I mean, this is going to sound crazy. Brooklyn is way more talented than New Orleans, at least right now, and the injuries the Pelicans have. And I will get to, again, the guys who have been standouts for New Orleans recently and the guys who have looked good for the Pelicans, but with obviously all the injuries in play. But their 3 main players are Zion Williamson, DeJounte Murray, and Jordan Poole. All 3 of those guys are out, plus the defensive factor of Herbert Jones in the lineup is no longer, he's not playing tonight, and potentially no Yves Missy as well. Now, Derek Queen's been huge, Trey Murphy's been big, and same can be said about Jeremiah Fears, who we had his over on points the other day. I don't think that's good enough. They're a banged-up team that's lost 5 games in a row. In the game that they did win, they looked really good against the Chicago Bulls. They're the Pelicans are the lowest scoring team in the NBA. They scored 143. The worst shooting team in the NBA as well. They scored 143 against Chicago. It was a weird one. We had, of course, Bulls spread, and that was the start of the Bulls' downfall, right? They started the year 5-0, and now are 5-1 or whatnot now, and now they're awful, right? But I still feel like they're going to find a way in the play-in because look how bad the bottom of the Eastern Conference is. More on those Bucks later. Regardless, though, I don't think the Pelicans have the firepower to beat Brooklyn with the Michael Porter Jr., who does average 25 points per game. And if they can get that production out of Noah Clowney with MPJ also in the lineup, yeah, you're going to take that out of the Nets. Am I saying the Nets are all that great? Obviously not. They're a 5-17 team, but they are better than the 3-20 New Orleans Pelicans. Right? I mean, they're better. It doesn't, as long as you're better than your opponents, I'm going to take it. Brooklyn's at home. It's a earlier spot. It's at 2 o'clock out here, obviously 5 o'clock in New York. I'm taking the Nets. Again, we get a money line potential here with the better team, in my opinion, at home. I think it's quite an easy look. I know, again, these are 2 bad teams. The Pels are just way worse, though, and especially with their injuries, again, to their 3 best players. Give me Brooklyn Nets money line at home from the Barclays Center, minus 135 for the Nets to take care of business against the New Orleans Pelicans. On to our second best bet of the video as we go to one of our 2 best player props for today. Let's look at the Atlanta Hawks game on the road in Washington against the Washington Wizards, as the Hawks actually look for some revenge after their last outing against Washington, in which they lost. Yikes. And the Hawks looking to finally win a game as they have been losers in 3 consecutive nights. 2 of those games losing by exactly 1 point in Detroit. And then yesterday at home against the Denver Nuggets, they lost by 1 point, 134 to 133. The Hawks looking to rebound here with the game against these lowly Washington Wizards. And they should do exactly that. But again, they just lost their last game to the Wizards in Washington back here at the Capital One Arena again tonight. But they did lose their last game to Washington 132 to 113. So again, who knows sometimes with the NBA, especially the Eastern Conference. What the hell goes on out here? I don't know. Anyways, our player prop is going to be Jalen Johnson. Over 19.5 RA rebounds and assists for Jalen Johnson, who, do we need to have that conversation about Jalen Johnson being an all-NBA player this season? I just want to put it out there. Is Jalen Johnson an all-NBA type guy right now? I mean, he's definitely an all-star this year. He's averaging 23, 10, and 7.5, and he's been the best player on one of the better teams. I know they've not been playing as good as basketball since the beginning of the year. Actually, they're 9th in the East now. But 9th in the East is separated from 3rd in the East by 2 games, so you can't really put much into that. Still, though, the Hawks are I believe, going to end up being one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. Do I think they're going to win the East anymore? I don't know. I'm starting again to kind of get the Celtics vibes, especially after last night. Whatever. Celtics are looking really good. And again, Tatum comes back. Who knows? They say, you know what? We're going to buy now at the deadline instead of potentially selling. Watch out for Boston. Do they stand a chance in the finals? No. And it's also going to make Shea's resume look a lot better if he gets Boston on there as well. Anyways, and especially in that environment, yeah. Anyways, Jalen Johnson, the year he's having is absurd, and look at the games he's playing. Guys, we're going to RA tonight for a reason, and I understand he played 38 minutes last night. Yeah, Jalen Johnson needs to play this amount of minutes on a nightly basis, and because that's just what he means to this basketball team, and it's not like there's injuries going around. I mean, last night was just the Hawks lineup, right? They've benched Kristaps Porzingis, at least for the time being. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but Porzingis is coming off the bench, and he's playing good minutes, don't get me wrong, because they're currently starting Onyeka Okongwu, which might be the right decision. Anyways, Jalen Johnson with, again, Onyeka and Kristaps very involved. Johnson plays 38 minutes, scores 21 points, and listen to this R8 line. I mean, we need 20. He almost got this with rebounds alone. 18 rebounds and 16 assists for Jalen Johnson last night at home against the Nuggets. I understand the high pace in which Denver plays at, combined with the pace the Hawks play at, creates for a lot of rebound and assist potential, but oh my goodness. 18 and 16. Obviously, we're not expecting all that tonight, right? That is unreasonable to think that Jalen Johnson's going to do that on a back-to-back, on the second night of back-to-back, and again to do that on a nightly basis. But, I mean, look at the numbers Jalen Johnson has continued to put up. I mean, I know we're asking for a lot, but game prior to this against Detroit, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. That's 20. That clears. 14 rebounds, 7 assists against Philadelphia. That clears. 12 and 12 against Cleveland. That clears. This is hit in each of the last 4 games. And you're taking on a Washington team. The one concern, and it's a major concern, is the blowout. However, look how competitively the Wizards just played the Hawks. I think the Hawks are going to win. I think it is going to be somewhat of a fight, though, right? Washington has put together 2 wins out of their last 5, which is big for this team. They just beat Milwaukee a couple games ago because the Bucks suck. But Washington, oddly enough, has been giving teams some trouble. And Atlanta's a 9.5-point favorite tonight. Do I expect them to cover? I don't know. That's why it's not in the video. But I do think Jalen Johnson's going to have to play big minutes. Now, will he play the 40 he usually has to play against these competitive teams that they're very competitive with and the Hawks are right neck and neck with? Probably not, right? But I do think Jalen Johnson's going to find a way to get 20 RA because of the rebound potential. Ball's in his hands a lot. Again, assist numbers have been high all year long. I think we're okay here. Again, the rebound potential usually for Jalen Johnson is in the 10. It's always in the 10s. It's usually in the 15s, though. At least recently it's been. It's been anywhere from like 12 to 18 rebounds. If we can get 13, I'll easily take it. Then we only need 8 assists. This guy averages 7 this season, but averaged 8 in the last month. So, we're on a pretty good trajectory to get this. Obviously, again, the way the Hawks play and the style the Hawks play at, and as well, again, the way the Wizards play too is. Sometimes the Wizards just chuck up shots all game long. I mean, they gave up 150 points last week, or just actually last game to the Boston Celtics. There's a high potential of a bunch of points. And also, Washington's more than injured. I mean, this entire team's hurt. Alex Sarr is still out. Middleton might not play. He's questionable. Vukovic, questionable. Whitmore, questionable. Still no Bilal Coulibaly. Kispert, obviously, out for a while. Sharif Cooper's out. I mean, this is a team I understand we don't really talk about the Wizards quite a bit because they're the Wizards and they're not very good. I would argue probably the worst team in basketball. Yeah, I think they're worse than New Orleans. Definitely worse than New Orleans in my opinion. And I know the Wizards have been winning a little bit. This is the worst team in the sport. So the opportunity is going to be there for Jalen Johnson. I mean, which bigs are going to be on the court tonight for Washington? Okay, Chris Middleton's considered a big for them. He's probably going to be matched to Jalen Johnson quite a bit. Marvin Bagley, Vukovic might not be playing tonight. Who else? They have Justin Champagnie, Cam Whitmore, Anthony Gill kind of plays, doesn't really only gets in garbage time. There's not much, there's not much coming back at Jalen Johnson tonight. So I like the over RA. I know it's a high line, don't get me wrong. We're expecting kind of a triple-double out of Jalen Johnson tonight, but I'm okay with that. Of course, we can get that without the triple-double as well, just because of the big rebound numbers. Regardless, Jalen Johnson over 19.5 RA. That's listed at -115. Give me Johnson on the road in D.C. On to our third best bet of the video. Let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. A very familiar matchup, obviously, back in the day. That's like 10 years ago now. No, it's really only like 8. And yeah, it's like 8. Obviously, I'm talking about. It's only. Yeah, almost. Wow, 7 years. Crazy. Since the Cavs-Warriors days. We're taking the Cavaliers here at home in Cleveland to cover the 7.5 points against the Golden State Warriors. I don't think this is that crazy of a line at all. Cleveland's at home. They just put up a 13-point victory against the San Antonio Spurs last night. I understand it's the second night of a back-to-back for this team. What does Golden State really offer them? And I've considered this as well. Like the Warriors, as they get deeper into this road trip, how are they going to play? I know the Bulls have been horrible. I'm very tempted to take Chicago tomorrow to beat Golden State. That's how poorly, in my opinion, Golden State's been playing. And on top of that as well, it's the end of a road trip. You're on a second out of a back-to-back. And again, I will get into Golden State and Chicago tomorrow. I'm very tempted to take the Bulls. Well, I don't know. I'll probably have a player prop regardless, though, for that game tomorrow, with there only being, I think, 6 games in the schedule tomorrow. Anyways, I do believe Cleveland's going to put it on Golden State tonight. Yeah, Cleveland won yesterday by 13 points, and I get it. It'll be the second out of their back-to-back. Golden State doesn't really score, and they haven't been able to score since the Curry injury. And yeah, they were competitive against Oklahoma City until they weren't. But all the injuries this team has is just really adding up, and we don't know who the hell's going to play, but I really don't think it matters. And yes, that includes, if Jimmy plays tonight, sure. I still think Cleveland's going to put it on the Warriors because of the way that Cleveland plays and the fact that Golden State, simply put, won't be able to keep up with that. So, again, let's go over it, right? I mean, Golden State's got a bunch of injuries tonight. Seth Curry, who's playing pretty big minutes, who they released just to bring back. Oh, you have the same name. Okay, well, he's his brother. You're wearing 31. Well, okay, Curry's questionable today with the toe injury. Obviously, by the way, Steph's out, we know for a fact. I think Steph might be back after the road trip, right? Did not travel with them on the road trip, but potential Steph could be back on Friday. Probably will be back on Friday at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But obviously, the Warriors are still without Steph for 2 more nights. So again, no Steph, no Seth. And then you're also missing definitely missing Al Horford because of his sciatica. And then Jimmy Butler's questionable. Draymond Green, is questionable with the foot injury. Butler's out with the knee injury. And then DeAnthony Melton may not play due to injury management. So you're just missing all of these guys potentially. And sure, if Jimmy plays, all right, but I like what Cleveland's doing. I mean, again, I don't think Cleveland's going to go far in the postseason, but right now in a regular season game at home, you got the Warriors cross country on a road trip. Yeah, give me the Cavaliers. Cleveland's got some injuries too, right? Garland did not play yesterday. There's a potential maybe he plays tonight. Jared Allen's been out for a while. I don't believe at all he's going to be back today. Same with Max Strus. He's been out for a little bit, but there's still very high scoring potential, obviously, out of Cleveland. You know the guys that they have. Donovan Mitchell's an all-NBA player. You get the defensive presence of DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley as well, both sides of the ball actually for both those guys as well. But I mean, Donovan Mitchell is quietly putting together another All-NBA season. He's averaging 31 points per game, and it doesn't really get talked about, which, with all due respect, and I understand why it's not being talked about, it's because, Donovan Mitchell, great regular season player. I'm not here to harp on Donovan Mitchell, but we've seen this before. Mitchell, goes berserk in the regular season, and the playoffs come around and he does absolutely nothing. Not him, but the team does absolutely nothing. So I'm not going to call these empty stats because Donovan Mitchell consistently is putting himself in positions in the postseason and his teams are going to the playoffs. But has a Donovan Mitchell-led team ever won anything? Obviously, no, they haven't, right? I mean, we thought potentially last year was going to be that year. The Cavs looked great in the regular season last year. We were talking about the narratives of, a Mitchell-Shea NBA Finals potentially. And, this is going to dictate who the new face of the league is. And honestly, again, we all kind of assumed, it's going to be Shea. And felt more right that Shea was the face of the sport. Obviously, he was on the better team, and he's the younger star as well. But, I mean, it could have been Mitchell. And yet, obviously, Cleveland in the second round loses to Indiana. It's just something we see every single year with the Cavaliers, right? We saw it 2 seasons ago. They beat the Magic in the first round. What happens in the second round? They run to Boston. They lose. The years in Utah, right? Utah's the number 1 seed. They go on and they play Los Angeles in the second round. They're the team that loses to the Clippers to let the Clippers go to the conference finals, right? It's just, I don't know. It's been nothing but disappointments from Donovan Mitchell playoff teams. Not saying it's his fault at all, but it is what it is. But in the regular season, I like Cleveland quite a bit. They win games in the regular season. Yeah, they're only 14-10. But a game like this, they should easily be expected to win. And I understand, again, second out of a back-to-back, that does get tricky. They should have all the momentum going into this game, though, in Golden State. I watched them play, and I get it, right? They were competitive against Philadelphia. The Sixers did not cover that line the other day against Golden State, which we expected them to, and it took, again, a last-ditch effort of a, VJ Edgecombe put-back shot, or I guess rebound, tip-in shot, and then Tyrese Maxey racing down the court to swat DeAnthony Melton to win the game. That's awesome. Philly played poorly that night. If the Philly that showed up and dominated Milwaukee yesterday showed up in that Warriors game, the game wouldn't have been competitive. Why? Where does the scoring come out of for Golden State? Their leading scorer was Pat Spencer, lacrosse legend Pat Spencer off the bench, DeAnthony Melton off the bench, Buddy Hield off the bench, And then Moses Moody. Moses Moody was the only starter who scored more than 10 points. Will Richard scored 5. Podziemski scored 6. Al Horford scored 3. Draymond only played 9 minutes, but he scored 3. And I get it. Oh, Jimmy might be back tonight. I have zero faith in the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry. And even with Curry, it's the problem that we've been saying with Golden State. They're not prepared to win. You added a 36-year-old Jimmy Butler. That doesn't put you over the top in being a championship contender. Anyways, I'm taking the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the basketball game and cover the 7.5 points as well. Cleveland's the much better squad, and they should be able to get it done at home. On now to our fourth best bet of the video. Let's go to our second player prop of the day. Oh, hey, it's, deer celebration, Miles Turner. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Miles did score 19 points last night. I'll give him that. I think that's the season high, is it? Oh, he had 24 against Milwaukee. Awesome. He's not scoring that many tonight. Miles Turner averages 12 points per game. You look at every single game where Miles Turner has had big points, he immediately comes crashing down to earth. Second night of a back-to-back for Miles Turner, taking on Detroit on the road. Yeah, 0 points for you, pal. This Milwaukee team's going to get worked tonight. And on top of that, this will be a blowout. The Bucks starters won't play deep into this game, and Miles Turner won't get anywhere close to 14 points. And yes, is it a nightly Heat watch with Miles Turner? Absolutely. He did the whole, book closing thing when he was in Indy, the corniest crap I've ever seen. And, well, Miles Turner himself has closed the book on the Milwaukee Bucks contending timeline. It's going to be, he was so pissed that, the internet put me in trade possibilities and trade packages on social media. Yeah, you're going to get put right back into them, pal. You're either that or you're just going to be on a losing team with no connection to a city that you claim you really like. You're going to be the highest paid player on a bad basketball team, and the fans are going to wonder, why the hell are we paying this guy so much money to score 12 points a night and 6 rebounds a night? Why, because he gets one cool block every single game? That's all he does. This line's completely dependent on Miles Turner's three-point ability, because that's the only shot he takes. The way the Bucks play with or without Giannis Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner is still, again, the only shot he ever takes is a three-pointer for the most part. There's maybe 2 shots a game where he takes inside the arc. Everything is fed to him outside or on the perimeter, right? And really, again, in Milwaukee in general, obviously, there's not much inside scoring done other than Giannis. There is, again, KPJ will take his shots inside, obviously, if he can get, obviously some penetration. But for the most part, it is just Giannis Antetokounmpo taking inside shots and trying to get to the hoop. For the rest of the team, we've talked about all the time, it's just a bunch of guys who can shoot. And that's why Miles Turner felt like, he's the best fit for this team, because he does exactly what they need. He spaces the floor a lot better than Giannis does, right? Because you can't, for the most part, you can't have a center on the court with Giannis who can't shoot, because then you have 2 guys obviously on the same team at the same time that you can just lay off of. And yes, Giannis does, take his threes, and he'll hit one every, once in a blue moon. Giannis will hit a 3 and it'll look great. But obviously it's not a guy you can rely on to hit shots from beyond the arc. So that's what made Miles Turner the great fit for Milwaukee. It's just he's not producing. He was supposed to be the co-star for Giannis, and that has been Ryan Rollins this season, surprisingly, and I guess KPJ at points too. Miles Turner is the 5th option in his own offense. And not, well, I guess in his own offense, obviously, but on a team where he's the second highest paid player. And he's playing only 20 minutes a night right now. They don't play him down the stretch because he's really not playable down the stretch. The Bucks went to Bobby Portis and just played super small when they tried to make their comeback late in the game against Philadelphia, because that's just what was working late in that game for them. I think there's going to be an increasingly, less, I don't know, what's the right way to put this? There's going to be less and less confidence with Miles Turner as the season goes on, in my opinion, in Milwaukee, because he's really not providing them what they thought he was going to give them. He's not a really good rebounder, and you can make up for that by saying, Giannis is on the court. Well, sure, but now Giannis isn't on the court, and he's still not getting rebounds because, again, he gets outpowered by other centers. So you need to rely on somebody else in the court at all time to get boards. And, okay, we signed him for his scoring. Well, Miles Turner is going to post his lowest scoring average probably since 2019, and that's the prime Oladipo days. Yeah, he's probably going to score, that's the least amount of points he's going to score this season since 2019. And that was a team that had guys, obviously, right? You had the Oladipos of the world. You had, a very fun team over there. Thaddeus Young was on that squad. How about Corey Joseph's big run? Wesley Matthews came in that season and played well for Indiana, right? Post Oladipo injury. Miles Turner again. Oh, he hits his 3-point shots. You take that away from him, he doesn't really do anything else. So again, Miles Turner's gonna need to hit 5 threes tonight. That's how I look at it. He's gonna have to hit 5 threes. He might get fouled once, but still, if he gets fouled, it's a chance he splits. So 13 points. Yeah. If he gets fouled, 13 points, and he's gonna have to hit another 3 because he's not gonna score in any other way other than transition and there's nobody by the hoop and he just dunks it in. I highly doubt it. Okay. Miles Turner needs to be fed the ball on the perimeter to actually score points for Milwaukee, and I just don't think that's going to happen enough for them against Detroit. And again, it always presents an interesting matchup when you face a Miles Turner because he is not a traditional center at all. So you're gonna get a guy like Jalen Duren playing outside, obviously, and playing on the perimeter at times if that's the matchup they choose. It could go Tobias Harris, obviously, or Sar Thompson's not going to get Miles Turner. But if you just, if you take away his 3-point ball, there's no potential scoring for him, and a team like Detroit should be able to do so. On top of that as well, I'm looking at this game in blowout territory. It's second night of the back-to-back for Milwaukee as well. Tired legs. They're getting blown out. They say, okay, no mas, we're done. I'm taking Detroit here. And Detroit's going to want this one a lot more after the other night where Giannis got injured and they still lost in Milwaukee. Yeah, they're going to put it on the Bucks tonight. So give me a Blazers blowout and a Miles Turner under 13.5 points. We're hoping for a successful hate watch tonight, under 13.5 points for Miles Turner. On to our final best bet of the video, and we go to a game in Minneapolis, Minnesota to be exact, between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm going Timberwolves minus 10. So, I mean, I accurately predicted that Clippers-Grizzlies game, right? I mean, I saw that one from a mile away. Oh, wow, the Clippers finally win one. They beat Atlanta. They're not winning back-to-back on the road, and the Grizzlies are actually playing really good basketball. It wasn't Chris Paul's fault they were losing. It was just coincidence they finally won after Paul got cut from the team. And I don't know what's going to happen I don't know what's going to happen with CP3. Worst case, let him go play in New Orleans. I'm serious. Like, that would be that. End it there. Or I wouldn't mind him going back to San Antonio. Obviously, OKC is probably the ideal spot, or the Lakers potentially. I just don't know who has the roster space for him. I know the Lakers don't right now, so couldn't be them. Anyways, Clippers last night looked good in the first half. That's what they are every night, and they just completely fall apart in the second half. I don't know if it's everyone being old, but their legs are gone, it feels like, and they just do not score in the second half, right? They score a combined 40 points in the second half against Memphis. That's not going to cut it. And their shooting just goes away. Because the Clippers, they always settle for these 3-point shots, and they just don't hit them. I mean, Kawhi goes 2 for 9 from 3. John Collins 2 for 8 from 3. Harden 3 for 7. Okay, and that's just what you expected. A Harden probably better shooting night than that, but still, Harden goes 3 for 7. Batum goes 2 for 7. Kobe Brown goes 2 for 6. Kobe Sanders goes 2 for 4. Cam Christie goes 1 for 3 in 10 minutes. It's just that's all they do. They shoot threes. Zubac couldn't get anything, obviously, down low against Zach Edey. So it's just, all right, we're going to keep shooting all night long. And basically the Grizz said, all right, go beat us then. If that's how you're going to win, so be it, but go beat us from beyond the arc. And obviously that did not happen. Again, I really like the way Memphis is playing right now. The emergence of Edey. I know Edey didn't have a big game yesterday. We thought he might because obviously we thought he might because of just the games he's had. But Zubac is a good matchup for him. Cedric Howard balled out, 23 points, 14 boards. Regardless of all that, though, Jalen Wells, by the way, I mean, I say Jalen Wells, one of the better 3-point shooters that nobody talks about. How does the game start? Jalen Wells 3-pointer. He's a really good 3-point shooter. He needs to get more looks. I'm telling you. I know he's young. He's in his second season. Jalen Wells is really good. Anyways, Clippers now have to go second out of a back-to-back in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Yeah, this is a blowout. This was blowout written all over it. I understand the last 2 games from Minnesota were competitive. They went down south to play the New Orleans Pelicans for a back-to-back. Both in New Orleans. Won the first game in overtime by 7 points, and then won the second game on the road again by 9 points. Just one of those weird matchups, one of those weird games. We're going to play these teams twice. This team twice. Odd. The Clippers are on the second out of a back-to-back. Everyone's old. Maybe, everyone plays. Maybe Kawhi plays. Maybe Harden plays. Well, Harden's definitely going to play. Maybe Kawhi plays. Probably will. I don't care. The team falls apart in the second half. And the team's 6-17. I mean, we are really, I mean, it's always been kind of a, oh, watch out. Like, maybe the Thunder are going to get their pick. Like, maybe the Thunder are going to have a top 3 pick. They're going to end up with one Devonta Peterson or Boozer. No, they're absolutely going to. And yeah, the NBA can obviously rig the draft lottery. They do it all the time. You know, don't just take my word for it. Listen to LeBron James talk about the draft lottery and his suspicions on it as well. But this team is, they are one of the worst teams in the NBA. And they show it every single night. You know, I mean, they don't shoot the 3 ball well, and they will have the random games where they get hot from 3. The Atlanta game, they got hot from 3. The Charlotte game, Harden had to score 55 for them to win. The Dallas game in double overtime, they got hot from 3, and Harden scored 41. But unless they can do something like that, which again is something that is not a common thing every single night, is not a common occurrence for Los Angeles, which is getting hot from the 3-point line, or James Harden scoring 50-something points or 40 or 50 points, they just don't win. Because you need Harden to be at his absolute best. You need Kawhi to give you a great effort and, you know, turn back the clock and give you a great effort as well, just for them to be competitive. And now in the second night of a back-to-back against a Minnesota team that is much better than them, Ant is going to run circles on these unks. And the Timberwolves know how to put up points. They played extremely high-paced games in their last 3 games from Minnesota have been extremely high-paced. The last 4 really have been. And I get it, the teams that they've played want to be high-paced as well. But the thing is, the Clippers try to be high-paced, and they just can't keep up because they don't hit their shots. Minnesota's coming off scoring 119 against Boston, 125 against San Antonio, 149 against New Orleans, and then 125 against New Orleans as well. How the hell do the Clippers keep up with this? The answer to that question is they don't keep up with it. So with all that being said, yeah, Minnesota is going to destroy this team. And the Clippers, again, a lot of what they are is Harden, Kawhi. And then if they can get it, they'll go to Zubac. Last night, Zubac wasn't really a factor because of Zach Edey. Edey obviously takes away Zubac. Zubac kind of took away Edey as well. So what happened? Or so what's going to happen in this game? Same thing. Zubac is on a second night of a back-to-back, and now he's got to deal with Rudy Gobert, who obviously is the butt of a lot of jokes. He's obviously, Rudy Gobert is very, obviously very sound defensively, one of the best defensive centers we've seen in this generation. I know he's, again, a joke sometimes. He's going to shut down Ivica Zubac. There's not going to be many opportunities for Zubac tonight on a second night of a back-to-back. There's going to be no opportunities for the Clippers on a second night of a back-to-back. Absolutely. Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves to win this basketball game and cover the 10 points as well. -10 from Minnesota at home in Minneapolis. Timberwolves get it done and they cover as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA Best Bets here on December 6th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily NBA Best Bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.